guys, Shirley here from A&L Creations. So I come to you with another video today. Today I'm going to show you guys how to make a satin bonnet. So one side of the inside will be like a hot pink satin, and then the outside is going to be this cute little JoJo Siwa fabric pattern. I found this at Walmart. It was, I don't know if you guys can see it, my ring light is, let me see. It was $6.44 a yard. So when it comes to making bonnets, I'm making a bonnet. My daughter's 3, she's about to be 4. So I actually found a sizing chart for bonnets, and so this is a bonnet size 2 to 6 years. You would do a 10-inch circle around, and then the elastic band that goes inside the bonnet, you'll make it a 17 inches long for her size head. You'll make that. This is a half inch of elastic. So you would need 1/2 inch elastic. That's the size I prefer to use. I'm sure you can use a different size if you like. At least a yard of both the satin and the whatever print of fabric you decide to use. You also need scissors and pins. I got these little clips as well. This is just to kind of hold stuff into place for me. I found these little clips at the Dollar Tree. Then I just have a seam ripper just in case I make a mistake and I have to go back through and take something off. I have the seam ripper, and then I also have my measuring tape, and this is just to measure the length of the elastic that I'm gonna put through. And of course you need your sewing machine. So I have that put off to the side right now. So what I'm going to do is bring the camera down. So this right here, when I made these, it's just a poster board that I got from my local Dollar Tree. I got that, and then I just kind of measured out 10 inches. So I got a measuring tape from the corner of it, measured 10 inches out. I put like a little marker spot. So just imagine if this was a whole board, and you take the corner of the board, and I took the measuring tape, the fabric measuring tape, and I laid it out. Nope, I think I used a regular ruler, but I laid it out and did a mark 10 inches here, and then I kept the fabric, the ruler on. And then I just took that ruler from the edge, moved it up, made another mark, moved it up, made another mark, until I got to the other edge. And then I just cut the edge out. So that's how I got the 10 inch. So I'm going to move the camera down so I can show you guys how to make the circle of the bonnet. Okay. Try to get this where everything is into frame. Okay, I think you guys can see that. All right, so this is, I'm gonna start with this fabric here. Well, no, I'm gonna go ahead and start with this one here. So I'm gonna start with this one first. And what I'm going to do is, now this here I just bought 1.5 yards of because I really like this fabric. It's a certain way you have to lay this fabric in order to get a circle. But I don't want to use too much of the fabrics because it's a really cute fabric. And the very first time I made a bonnet for my daughter, I used a lot of fabric. Well, what I did was took that 1 yard of fabric, and then I just folded it even, and folded the long way. Then I took it the long way, and then I took it and folded it like that. And then I just took the edge, that part, like the corner there, and that's where I laid the board here, and I just cut around. But then I messed up a lot of fabric like that because it was a big hole in the middle. Then I have all this extra opening left around it. And I mean, I was using extra pieces for like face mask and stuff like that, because I mean, once I cut the big hole in the middle, wasn't much that I could do with it then after that, because I had cut that big hole in there. So there weren't many projects of larger sizes that I could use that fabric for. So I was trying to figure out a way to not use as much fabric. So what you're doing, seeing me do right here, is just I'm trying to come up with a way that I can cut out the circle and not use as much of this fabric. So I'm trying to just do it from a corner edge. That way I won't use a lot of fabric, and I can save some for another project. So that's my plan. So that's the reason why I didn't do it directly in half. And I got all of this extra fabric over here. I didn't do it directly in half because I'm trying to find a way that I can be able to save a lot of this fabric. Okay, so what I did was I took half, I took it and just folded it. So just pretend that part wasn't there. And this was just say a yard of fabric here and then all the way out to here. So just from here to there, and then we just gonna take it and fold it in half. So just pretend we're folding a yard of fabric in half. So after we fold that yard of fabric in half like that, and then pretend we're gonna close it all the way across, but we're only gonna close it halfway. So we're gonna take it and close it the halfway mark, just like that. Okay. So after that, what we need to get our circle is a corner. So not the open end. So how this end is open, not that end, but the closed end of the corner. I hope that makes sense. Closed end of the corner, because that's how we're going to get our actual circle. So if this is long enough, well, not long enough, but wide enough to make the 10-inch circle that I need, then that will be perfect, because all I have to do, now don't go, like, make sure when you put your, so then when you put it on, that corner would go in the corner, just like that. So you put it in a corner, and that's going to work out perfect. Actually, I can take this line, this, and kind of fold it back some, because I got a lot of extra fabric there. So as long as I don't go to this white edging of the fabric, then I will be okay. So I'm going to take this and just slide it back just, oh, gotta make sure you keep it even. So slide it back just a little bit, just to try to preserve a little more of that fabric is what I'm trying to do. Okay. So try to keep those edges there even, so your fabric won't be all thrown off with your extra fabric anyway. Not too much worried about the fabric I'm about to use. Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna line it back up on here, and hopefully I haven't made it too short. Now that I did it, nope. Actually, that's really, really good. Hope you guys can see that. I'll probably put the camera on my other tripod, my smaller one that I can fit right on the table. Well, shoot, I'm gonna have to wait because I still have to spread out the other color. So, anywho, so what I'm gonna do with these clips, and that's the reason why I like to have these little clips here. So I'm gonna take the board, the sizing board, and we're going to clamp the fabric to the sizing board. And I only do that so that it'll hold into place while I cut my circle out. Okay, so let's put one here. And make sure everything is good and even. I want a crooked circle. All right, so maybe one more. I think I took out more than 4. Okay, so last clamp I'm going to put right there. And then what I'm going to do now is just cut from this end all around the edge of the circle to that side. And then you'll see how we'll be getting our 10-inch circle. Alright. So sometimes you gotta really hold on to this and make sure you got a good pair of cutting scissors. So right now I'm just cutting around. And make sure you hold on. And sometimes what I do too is once I cut so much of the fabric, I go ahead and throw me another clamp on it. Hopefully it'll be able to get my scissors. Let's see. So yeah, that might be in the way right now. I'm gonna have to cut some more, then I may be able to put it down there. Okay, so try not to cut your sizing board, because I definitely done that too. Got too close and snipped my sizing board. So try not to do that, guys. Okay. And going around until you cut to the edge. Bam. There you go. So you go ahead and take that off. I'm gonna remove the clamps so you guys can see exactly what it looks like. So, and when you open it, you got your circle. Ta-da! You got your circle. So this circle is the first beginning of your bonnet. Okay, so I'm gonna set that to the side. All right, so we are going to cut this fabric. This fabric here is a little more trickier to cut. I don't know, because it's the material and it kind of moves around, but for some reason, always, every bonnet I've made so far, this piece always seems like it comes out a bit bigger than the last one. Okay, so this is the hole I was telling you guys about. So that's the reason why I tried to get closest to the edge as I could of the fabric, because this is a pretty big heaping hole out of the fabric. So if you cut it just right, guys, then you'll be able to save yourself some fabric, especially when it's, what was it, 644 a yard. So get to save yourself some fabric. So right now I'm just getting this folded up and put out of the way so we can start on the next piece. So I'm just getting that out of my way. All right, so here we go. This is the next piece. So now we gotta figure out, I gotta come up with how this piece here is. I think this is only a yard. So this is what I meant when I said at first, pretend like that one was a yard, and we're gonna make sure it's just folded pretty much evenly. And that's just the regular fold that was in it when I purchased it from off the roll. That was the permanent roll fold it already had. So I'm not gonna too much mess with the evenness of that. So now I'm gonna take this, and see, the last time what I did was I just folded it even like this, just like this on the last bonnet, put the board here, cut it, and when I got through, I just had a huge heaping hole right in the middle. So I want to save some fabric, so we're not going to do that today. We're going to partway fold it over just like I did for the JoJo fabric. So we're going to halfway fold it over, just over 4. these, put them off to the side, and get rid of this now because we're done with that part. And we're gonna open it up, and what do we have? Ta-da! Another circle. So now we have our front, and back. I'm gonna have to get my safety pins out, but we won't need that until close to the end. I forgot to grab those out, so I have to grab those out a little bit later. So that'll be your inside of the bonnet, that'll be the outside of the bonnet. All right, so now time for the fun part. So I'm going to hit and get my sewing machine and set it over here on the chair. I have a Singer C5, Singer C5200 is the name of my sewing machine. So here's my smaller tripod. Let's see. Make sure I kind of got it set up before I move you guys over. Make sure I got y'all where y'all can see what it is that I'm doing or whatever. Okay, guys, so sorry about the moving. Just gonna move you guys a little bit closer. All right, so I got the camera on the small tripod. So what we're gonna do now, you're gonna take the pretty side, so the silky shiny side, to your printed side, and we're gonna put those face together, because what we're gonna do now, we're gonna use stick pins, and we're gonna take the stick pins and pin all around the whole entire bonnet, except for we're gonna leave like an opening probably about this big, because we need enough space to flip the bonnet inside out, well, right side out, because right now we're gonna sew it wrong side in, and then we'll leave the hole to flip it to turn the bonnet right side out. Hope that makes sense. Okay, so I'm gonna turn the camera down just so you can see what I'm doing as far as the pinning process. So move those out the way for a second. So now what you gotta do is try to get this circle to match up. Let's see. Get it to match up as much as possible. So maybe if I take, oh, I forgot I used the edge piece, so now you can't. All right, so we'll just take those as best we can and line them up. And I typically try to get close to the edge when I'm sewing, but not too close, because it's been times where I went too close to the edge, and when I went to flip the bonnet, I noticed that I didn't. Okay, so we're going to pin, and try not to pin too close to the edge, so when you start to sew, your needle won't run into your pin. You don't want to mess up anything on your sewing machine. So just keep going around, making sure the ends are even, and just throwing a pin in there. Just don't forget to not to leave a space open on your while you're sewing, for you to flip the bonnet. Flip the bonnets, because I have almost done that before, and then I realized it. And by this time I got a little space this big left before I realized it, to leave open to flip my bonnet. So I just keep going around putting those pins in. pins is pretty much to just hold the fabric in place while you're sewing. Okay. On around. Just keep going right on around. Alright, so I'll probably put one more pin in here, then it'll be good because, okay, this gives me a nice opening right here to be able to flip my bonnet. Alright guys, so that's that. So now it's time for the sewing part. Okay, so we're gonna slide the machine over here. Sorry, just trying to get it so you can see what I'm doing here. Alright, so I'm going to turn my sewing machine on. My machine is already threaded. I'm using some hot pink thread today. I want to make sure my tension just trying to set my machine on, I think it's 4.0 I want it on. 4. Oh, that's a 6.0. Hold on, I'm trying to get my machine set. Okay. Alright, there we go. Trying to get it set to 4.0. I don't switch it often, so just kind of messing around with some stuff. Okay, so I'm just trying to make sure my sewing foot is where I need it to be. So once we start sewing, okay, so what I'm gonna do is, so I won't forget about where my opening is, I'm going to start sewing. Let's see, put it in here. I'm gonna start sewing like right before where I want to leave it opening, the opening. So once I go all the way around, come back here, I know when I get close to that where I started, then it'll be there. Okay, so let's see. So you're gonna go ahead and make sure your thread is pushed back this way. I'm gonna go ahead and put this up under the sewing machine. Like I said, try to get it as close to the edge as possible, but not too far, because like I said, you don't want to wind up with some open seams once you flip it over. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started, guys. All right, and always when you start sewing, sew a little bit, then do a back stitch, then go on around. Okay, here we go. Back stitch. slide the machine out the way for a second. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and take these few pins out because this is the one end that we started on. So we can go ahead and take that out. Okay, and now the whole perimeter has been sewn all the way around, except for where you left the opening. And make sure you backstitch before when you first start and when you stop, because when you go to pull it open like this to flip it, you don't want the stitches to start coming out. So it's been sewn all the way around, and then we have these extra little strings that's hanging here. I'm just gonna go ahead and get those cut and out the way. Down out of the way. There you go. So I got those strings out. So now what you want to do is flip the bonnet. So you're gonna get your opening, and I always make it, my hands are small, so I make it where I can stick my hand in there, grab the opposite, the inside seam here, and just pull it through. Just pull it through, pull it through, pull it through. Now we got a pretty side. All right, so you can take an iron to this if you like to just like get it nice and flat. And I do that sometimes too. I don't know, just depending on how I'm feeling. I would do that. Just get the iron and take it to get the iron and just flatten it out just to get some nice clean flat edges, because now what we're going to do is we're going to take another stitch and go around the whole bonnet, whole bonnet this time. We're going to take a stitch and go all the way around the whole entire bonnet, but this time we're not going to leave an opening. We're not going to leave an opening this time. So I'm just trying to get all my edges and stuff out because I don't feel like ironing it this time. If it was for a customer, then yes. But like I said, I'm making this for my daughter. She already have a cupcake bonnet that I made her before, and she done wore that one out. So that's why I decided to do another one, and she loves JoJo Siwa. So that's why I chose to do this one. Here. Maybe I should have went on and pulled the iron out because I got so many edges. And another thing I use too, I don't have it over here, but I had this little thing that has a point on it. And normally what I do is like stick it in there and like kind of push it along the edges, and it helps push out all that fabric that's still kind of sunk in there. So right now I'm just trying to use my hands to get it out, which that probably would be faster to do it that way. But the only reason why I'm doing this because everybody may not have that. But I mean, you can take anything that's got not a point to it, but got a little edge, but nothing short that'll bust open your fabric. You definitely don't want that. So anyway, so that part is done. I'll just shake it out, and maybe that'll help. That'll help get some of them edges out for me. Okay, so now we're gonna go back to the sewing machine, guys, and go ahead and stitch around the whole entire bonnet, leaving no openings. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and slide the machine back over here. Alright, so you guys can see what I'm doing, and it really does not matter where you start, but since this is my opening here, I'm just gonna go ahead and start at my opening edge and go ahead and sew there. Now With this part here, you do want to leave at least a half of inch or whatever size elastic you're going to put in there. You want to leave at least a half of inch spacing between your closed off stitch and then the stitch you're doing now, because what you're going to do is take that elastic, and once you make that second stitch, you're going to come down about right here, make that second stitch all the way around, and with this opening being there, you're going to take the elastic and you're going to feed it through that opening, and that's what's going to give you the scrunchy look on your bonnet. Okay, and I'm starting to hope I don't regret not going ahead and sewing this down, but I think it should be okay as long as I sew up far enough. I think I should be fine. Because, all right, so we're gonna go ahead and get busy. Like I said, make sure you just sew enough space, leave enough space between the edge of your bonnet, the edge seam of your bonnet, and where you're about to start sewing now. Just make sure you leave enough. All right, guys, so, and here we go. Start sewing. Stitching all the way until I met back to the first piece of thread where I started. So go ahead and get rid of that extra, and then cut that off, and cut that off, cut that off. Okay, so now next thing that we're going to do, guys, is we're going to measure off the 17 inches. I think that's what I said. Yep, 17 inches of elastic. Sometimes I do just a little bit more because I do need to overlap both ends on top of each other and stitch those. So sometimes I may do, like, since it's 17, I may do like maybe 18 just to go for the, so I have that extra overlapping room and won't actually take away from the size of the bonnet. So I'm turning it this way, and the only thing I do is like just kind of like match the edges up and go all the way down. That's my 17 mark, but I'm going to actually go down to maybe 18 and a half. And cut it at the 18 and a half mark, even though I said 17, or that's upside down, but I'm gonna cut it at the 18 mark, only just to give myself a little bit of and then you cut it off and you have your piece there. So now what I'm gonna do is feed the piece through the bonnets, and that's what my safety pins are for. So I take 2 safety pins, and one of them I attach to the end of my elastic just like that, and then the other one, you find your opening that you left, find your opening, and then you take the other one, you put it through the other end just like that. And then what I do is, let's see, I think I want to go through this way. So I take the other side and I just attach it to the fabric just like that. And the only thing this does is prevent it from pulling through from the other side once you start to feed it through. So, and try not to let this twist in the inside while you're feeding it through. Try not to let it twist up. So you just stick it through the opening, and then you use the pin to just maneuver through. which if it is, it ain't no big deal because I said it's for my baby anyway, so. Good. Don't want to lose my pen. There we go. This one is the one that's what? Then just happened there. I'm trying to figure out what I've done here. Okay, hold on. I felt like at first it had all twisted, but I guess it didn't. Alright, so now the two ends meet. There's one end and there's the other end. So now what we're going to do is going to lay these two pieces, take the pins out, lay these two pieces on top of each other on the sewing machine and do like a zigzag stitch. Do like a zigzag stitch. I don't know. I'm just going to do this for a second just so it won't slide back through on me. But then we're going to do a zigzag stitch. I'm going to do a zigzag stitch on there to go ahead and finish it up. So let's pull this back over here. And what I do is the stitches on the side here, I think I'm going to do, I guess I'll do a 3. Do a 3. Yeah, I'll do a 3. So stitch these two together. Okay, so all I'm doing is grabbing the two pieces. I'm going to go ahead and take these pins out and get rid of those. Okay, so now I'm trying to see because it keeps feeling like this is twisted. This is the side that felt twisted. I know I kept saying something felt like it was twisted. Let's see. Okay, I think we got it now. Alright, so I'm going to take those two pieces, overlap them like that. And let's see, get this, but try to keep your extra fabric out the way so it won't get caught. So what I do is lap them. Just take them and put them on top of each other. Yep. Try to keep them on top of each other and keep this fabric out the way at the same time. So once I get it where I want it, I let the presser foot down, try to keep my fabric out the way, and then I stitch, and then I push it back and forth and get a few stitches back and forth just to make sure it's secured good. And I do a back stitch, then I go back again. Time. And there you go. Go ahead and pull it out and cut the extra strings off. Let's get this extra string. Alright, so we got that. And so now you see I just used, I think, stitch 03. Use stitch 03 on this. So a stitch back and forth is pretty on there, pretty good. So now it's time to close up this hole. And sometimes this is where I have the most issues at because it's always uneven. Like I told you, this fabric here always seems to be uneven from the other fabric every single time. Every single time. I have not had it not be uneven. So, I mean, it could be just something I'm doing wrong. I don't know. Anyway, what I do is take these raw looking edges, try to fold them in. Like tuck them in the inside. So when I go to stitch it, you got a clean edge like that. So yeah, this right here typically takes me a minute to get, only because the fabric is always uneven. So part, because I don't know, you can kind of feel the needle shift. So it's like I know when I'm going through the thicker parts. The only thing I'm doing now is going back, cutting off all the extra string that's just on there from sewing it. So any extra string, try to get it, but make sure you don't cut any string that's holding anything in place. Let's just try to make sure you don't do that. Alright, so then after that, you just go ahead and stretch the elastic around it. Stretch it and try to, whoop, something happened. Oh, I'm like, what just happened there? It's like it got caught up. How? I don't know. Alright, so that is the bonnet. Flip it this way. And there you go. And so like I said, 10-inch circle with a 17-inch piece of elastic will make a bonnet that will fit a child from the ages of 2 to 6. Alright guys, that is it. And if this video was helpful for you, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll know the next time I post a video. Thanks guys.